turmeric itself was originally consumed as a food. Another thing to keep in mind is that it supports mood. There's been studies on depression, and there's no side effects, so you can't lose. And then
Right.
even with heart disease, they've done some studies and shown that blood vessel integrity was stronger after 8 weeks of use.
Hmm.
And so the benefits of turmeric, we only crack the surface when we say pain and inflammation. And what we want people to do is to know the whole food form has over 200 phytonutrients. It's not just curcumin. It's so much more than that. If you're taking it in the whole food form, you're really getting it as nature intended. And then you've got some brain cell support, heart support, it's total body.
Welcome, everybody, back to the Healthy Habit Podcast today with Mr. Stephen Harkins. He is back, folks, for the monthly check-in, Director of Education there at North American Herb and Spice, as well as Physician Strength Formulas. Stephen, welcome back to the show. How are we doing, sir?
Thank you very much, Dr. Dehan. I'm doing excellent, and I'm revitalized. We're ready. I'm rejuvenated.
You're ready to go?
Yes.
Stephen, you've quickly become a fan favorite here, my friend, on the Healthy Habit Podcast. When people come into the store, if you walk in and make a quick right, you'll see number one, Stan the Demo Man there on the right side. But on that whole right face panel, you'll see all the North American herb and spice products we'll be discussing today with Stephen. So, superfood lattes to the rescue, my friend. Tell us a little bit about what we're talking about today, Stephen.
So, well, if you're tired of taking capsules all the time and you want a little bit more, you want to taste the benefits, these are superfood lattes. We're talking about functional ingredients that support your everyday needs, coming from ashwagandha, chaga, turmeric, maca, ginger, cinnamon. So some really amazing things. And it's just the idea of drinking it, getting some nutrition, also getting some energy, dealing with things like pain and inflammation. And I think it's just going to be a very practical topic that children, people of all ages can enjoy.
So we can drink these products hot over the stove or even ice cold in a healthy shake. So tell us about, let's say, ashwa milk. We'll start there. A lot of people have heard of ashwagandha. So this is a unique product, kind of the only one I've seen like this, where it's a milk and ashwagandha. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, yes. So, and the idea here is that you can use whatever milk you want, so whether you're a dairy person or non-dairy, I'm a non-dairy, you can do it the way you want. And so this is ashwagandha. It is known as a rejuvenator, actually. That's why we talk about that. What we're talking about is, supporting your stress, your anxiety throughout the day, and just keeping that in check, because we know stress has an effect directly on our physical health as well as our mental health, and we all have it. But ashwagandha is just one of those what's known as adaptogenic herbs. And what does that mean? It helps your body adapt, as you might have imagined, to things like the stress that comes in our lives every day.
So is the chaga milk, maca milk, and ashwa, they're all separate? Is that correct, Stephen?
Yeah, they're all
Okay.
separate, and kind of use them for separate reasons.
So again, let's start back with the ashwagandha milk. It's a certified organic 10-to-1 ashwagandha. Can you explain this, and why is this so important to get the right ratios?
Yeah, so starting with the ratio, and I think most people understand the importance of organic. So that means no pesticides. It's grown in healthy conditions in the soil, no heavy metals. It's tested for those kind of things. Regarding the ratio, if you were to take the root, and that's what it is, it's just a root that is grown in the ground. If you just take that and grind that directly into a powder, just take a hammer, crush it, you've got nothing but a powder. That's called 1-to-1. 10-to-1 means that it is 10 times concentrated. And that means you're going to get 10 times the potency of just crushing it into a powder with a hammer. And
Right.
so it's 10 times as strong for your benefit.
Okay, folks, if you're just tuning in, we're talking with Mr. Stephen Harkins about ashwa milk, North American herb and spice. And you can find this right in the store. It's a powdered product. We want to mix it up a little bit and see how you can add some of these great herbs into a drink or like we mentioned, it could be hot or cold, or you can sneak it into a smoothie. And is this 100% ashwagandha here in the ashwa milk, or is there other ingredients? Can you highlight that?
Yeah. We also use the amla, which is vitamin C. It's an amla berry powder, and that's huge in vitamin C, and that helps you absorb even greater uh, uh, benefit from the ashwagandha. So that is also in there, and you're going to get a little bit of vitamin C as a benefit too.
Looks like we have some Jerusalem artichoke powder in there as well.
That's correct.
Why is
Yep.
that added in?
Jerusalem artichoke is a prebiotic and it's a fiber rich ingredient. And so it just adds further benefit to the digestion process so that you can really assimilate and make it more available to your body. And, we are a nutritional company, so we always like to give you the bigger picture with the formula.
And I want to give a quick, before we move on to the other milk items here that we can choose. Ashwa milk is the energizing power of wild, raw, organic ashwagandha root extract. This extract is far more potent than typical ashwagandha supplements. Just like Stephen was just mentioning right there with the 10-to-1 concentration. It's a true water and alcohol free extract, which has a high potency unmatched in other formulas. And then we'll end on this note on ashwagandha. It's one of the key Ayurvedic adaptogenic roots. And like you said, people need to adapt to the stress around us. We can't just leave and move in the middle of a forest somewhere, right? There's always going to be stress around us. We need herbs to help us adapt. Is that a good way to look at ashwagandha?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to stress, they even have studies out there about sleep and how it supports with situations where you're not able to get a good rest at night. So it's very much to do with your brain. It definitely impacts the different receptors of your brain, and there are some studies on how it supports healthy cortisol levels.
Hmm.
Cortisol being that stress hormone that they can measure. When that hormone's elevated, it means that you're having a stress reaction. And they've found over 4 to 6 weeks that they were able to bring that down an average 26% by taking about 400 milligrams every day. And then you mentioned Ayurveda,
Yeah.
but this has a long, rich history in Ayurvedic medicine. And it's known as Rasayana is a word they use, and that just means rejuvenator.
Hmm.
So it's got a long history, and we're just really just discovering it now here in America.
We're just getting caught up now, Stephen,
Yeah,
with shows like this. So you come and
party.
help us put it on the map for us. So next we can switch to the chaga milk. Tell us about this. How does it differentiate? Is it also a powder like ashwa milk, just a completely different herb?
Yes, exactly. It's a powdered herb, and it's something that you can use to kind of rebuild your energy. And let's say if you're somebody who, and I'm guilty of this, you just kind of get in that coffee mode. Next thing you know, you're drinking 2 to 3 cups a day,
Right.
and you're like, wait a minute, and you're crashing, and you're just not feeling yourself. You can be irritable, and you're like, this isn't the energy I wanted. It was good while it lasted, but there's a more stable way to get energy, and that would be, pardon me, I'm going to silence
It's okay.
that. That would be definitely with chaga. It's full of B vitamins. It's got a lot of trace minerals, magnesium, which you need for energy production. And what's interesting is ours is wild, comes from the birch bark tree. That's also something that really makes us different because we take the effort to go out into the forest. And this is a fungus. It's very different than a lot of other mushrooms because it's very hard, and it
Hmm.
takes up to 20 years to grow on that birch tree. And with that, you get the full effect of what chaga can do.
Wow. Chaga milk is the most nutritious and delicious. Say that 10 times fast.
It's
Nutritious and delicious way of getting your
delicious.
daily dose of wild chaga. Make your milk daily and support a healthy, whole body biological and immune response. Chaga is incredible. I mean, for all the research buffs out there, you can go read for 5 hours straight, 10 hours on chaga research. So we have here source from the Canadian wilderness. Is that true?
That is true. That is very true. We do get some from Siberia as well, but most of it is coming, it loves cold climates, and it thrives in those very harsh climates. That tells you something about its potency. And
Right.
yes, we get it from the far north there in the Canadian forest.
One
And
teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of the powder here is going to be giving you the wild raw chaga. There's the wild raw birch bark in there, the yacon root powder, Siberian black chaga, and then even cinnamon essential oil added in there for some extra blood sugar support, I'm guessing.
And taste.
Anything else you wanted to add about the combo there between chaga and birch bark?
Well, putting the birch bark with it makes a lot of sense because birch bark in itself is a supplement of sorts, and you know you need that for immunity, and so there's a huge immune aspect with chaga. That's why some of our formulas have oregano and cinnamon and that
Mm,
type of thing, and huge. I mean, if you look it up, I highly you're going to be shocked at what you're going to see. It's one of the most antioxidant rich foods, but the birch bark is super rich in antioxidants too. So having that together is going to be even better for your cell health. Uh, and so we love that reparative effect that the antioxidants do provide. And then also it's wonderful for your skin, as you can imagine. I'm sorry, I'm going to shut off my email, Dr. Dale. Here.
mhm.
So, but it's amazing for your skin as well. And so that we even we recommend drinking it every day. In Siberia, they live very long, and it doesn't make any sense because they're very it's harsh, it's cold, it's one of the
Right.
coldest places on the planet. And if you go to the Inuit Indians, they don't live very long compared to them. And the difference they think they've mentioned is that they drink chaga just about every day, and they have for many years.
Interesting. Again, that's the chaga milk product as well, folks. We're highlighting some ways you can get different avenues for these herbs to come into the body instead of just capsules or the liquids we've highlighted before on the show. But we have this full line of these superfood lattes, like we mentioned. Next up would be the maca milk. Tell us about this one. Is that similar to these first two, where it's just maca as the main powder?
Yes, exactly. Maca is the main attraction that you would come for when you purchase that one. And you know, maca is something that you can use also for energy. It's also known as an adaptogen. Little known fact, it's known as a cruciferous vegetable.
Mm.
So that's in line with things like broccoli and cauliflower. So it's high in vitamin K, and you can use maca for its B vitamin content for energy and mood, and then also libido and fertility. It has a traditional use there to support reproductive health.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, it's a nice way to mix it up from the daily coffee. Typical three,
Yep,
4 cups. You can even put some in coffee. Is that right?
you sure can. Yeah, I've done that before. I put some of that maca powder in my coffee maker, actually on the filter before I started up, and it has kind of a butterscotch taste.
Right.
Very, very
It's a
interesting.
nice smell. I like the smell of maca.
Me too.
Yeah, so I've done the same thing. I've used ground up mushrooms like chaga, and you just put it right into your coffee if you're already having it anyways. You might as well sneak some herbs into the coffee, right?
Yeah,
Take
yeah,
advantage of that opportunity. So
absolutely.
again, a teaspoon is a serving size of the maca milk, and
Mhm.
that actually has some black organic black chaga in there with it, which is cool.
Yeah. Maca is the maca milk formula is probably my favorite personally out of all of them. And I feel something when I take it.
Oh yeah. And it's the Ceylon cinnamon powder that's added in there as well, which is the one we want. We don't want too much of the cassia cinnamon. Do you have any thoughts on that, the Ceylon versus the cassia?
Well, I'm not a super, knowledgeable area for me, but
Okay.
I have learned that it's thought to be one of the original traditional, genetic species of cinnamon.
Yeah.
And I noticed that just the experience and the taste you can totally tell the difference when you've got the real pure stuff.
Absolutely. So far in today's episode, we've highlighted the Ashwa milk, the Chaga milk, Maca milk, as well as the latest one there. And then we can finish off here on the golden latte with the Max. Maybe those are similar. Let's differentiate those two.
Yeah. Yeah. So Max is if you just want turmeric. So that's just your pure, bright orange wild turmeric that we do out of a protected forest preserve there in India. And it's strong. You only need about a fourth of a teaspoon or a half of a teaspoon if you want a strong dose, because this is already 7 to 1. So that means it's 7 times stronger than just the powder. The other one, and so that would be perfect if you want to work on, say you've got a headache, you got some
Right.
pain in your back, digestion. If you want the Max, That's got turmeric, ginger, and cinnamon. That has some strong digestive support. And I should mention too that cinnamon and ginger both come from Sri Lanka, one of the
Hmm.
best places to get it from. It's highly aromatic. And that's the original kind of traditional Ayurveda golden milk recipe there.
And then give us a quick, maybe like 3 to 5 highlights of why turmeric is so important. Why should someone consider the Turmamax powder instead of a capsule version of turmeric?
Well, it's one of the, turmeric itself was originally consumed as a food. And if you go to India,
Mm,
where they are the masters, and it's a sacred spice, of course, over there, they're always putting it in their food. And, we've mentioned on the show before, Dr. Dehan, is that their mind is still intact, even in these 70, 80, 90-year-old people, you don't see dementia and Alzheimer as high. They
right,
attribute it to all the spices that they're taking, the ginger, the cinnamon, turmeric, and more. And another thing to keep in mind is that it supports mood. There's been studies on depression, and there's no side effects, so you can't lose. And then
right.
even with heart disease, they've done some studies and shown that blood vessel integrity was stronger after 8 weeks of use.
Hmm.
And so the benefits of turmeric, we only crack the surface when we say pain and inflammation. And what we want people to do is to know the whole food form has over 200 phytonutrients. It's not just curcumin. It's so much more than that. If you're taking in the whole food form, you're really getting it as nature intended. And then you've got some brain cell support, heart support, it's total body.
So, and it's pure ground up organic turmeric root.
Yes,
So it might give a pretty strong kick. It's going to be a strong taste. It's going to
it
make
is
whatever
strong.
you're tasting taste like turmeric. But you're getting all these incredible benefits. We have the Turmerone Fortified 7X Grater. Quickly highlight what the Turmerones are.
Yeah, so we hear a lot about the curcumin or the
Yeah.
curcuminoids, and that's the subject of a lot of studies. That makes up about 6 to 8 of the total profile, 6 to 8 out of 200. Termerones, on the other hand, are emerging in the studies. A couple of things we're finding. One, termerones by themselves have been linked to brain cell growth. And that's something we can all get behind, especially as we get older or we're just dealing with a lot of stress and we need to be able to keep our wits about us. And another thing they found is that when you put the termerones and the curcuminoids together, you have greater overall effect for pain and inflammation, and
Hmm.
you have a more powerful response, more efficacy. And of course, that's not a surprise because that's the way nature gave it to us, and we're just taking it in whole food form.
Right. Okay, so we've covered the Ashwa milk, Chaga milk, Maca milk, and even the Turma Max. Is there a standalone golden latte product, or is that included with the Turma Max?
The Turmamax is essentially you might be called triple spice latte. We've gone through a couple of name changes,
Okay,
but that is essentially the authentic recipe for golden milk. If you're
amazing. And I
looking
do
for
want
that,
to quickly highlight the wild Chaga as well. Well, the purple maca too. That's from Peru. Is that correct? The purple maca,
that's
especially.
correct. And yeah, we have a great partner in Peru that we get our camu camu berries for vitamin C, our purple corn, our sacha inchi, and of course the maca. And great gentleman, we've been with them for 20 years. And it is purple maca. It's good that you mentioned that. There's black, yellow, and purple, and they all are a little different. Yellow's the most common, black's the least common, and purple is kind of in the middle. And purple has extra magnesium compared to the others, and that's part of the reason why we like it.
I'm a big fan of maca, Steven. I take it every single day, 2 caps a day usually. This would be a
Yeah.
great. I'm probably gonna start using this maca milk here. You just throw some into your coffee in the morning or tea, and it's good for both men and women. Is that correct? It's not just a male testosterone herb, right?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, for women in pregnancy and women trying to get pregnant, and then all the nursing situation after that, maca has traditional use by the Incas, and so there's a lot of historical use for women with maca.
Amazing. So the big ones, the hormone modulation, anti-stress, helps with energy levels, and much more than that. You can research so much on these. So what's your favorite one? You mentioned the maca milk, correct?
I like that because it's maca and chaga, so you get the best of both worlds, and in case you can't decide which one, like me, I'm so indecisive. Don't know what to do, so I just put it all
Right.
together. I like that the best.
There you
Maca and
go.
chaga, huge value.
And since the last time we spoke, Stephen, what's been going on at North American Urban Spice? We want to hear, I think it was in Nashville. You had the conference or event that you went to. Tell us a little bit about what's hot and what's new on your end.
Yeah, thank you. So I had an opportunity to go to this conference. It's called the American Health and Freedom Summit, and this was in Nashville. And it was all basically practitioners of all kinds, naturopaths and then acupuncture, RNs, you name it. And they had speakers on the areas of pediatrics, functional medicine, which yes, and then also chiropractic. So there's
Mm,
so many speakers, got to network with a lot of great some of the famous doctors out there, and they're all like-minded. They're What's interesting is they're not exactly in the mainstream thought, and they can think for themselves. And it was just really encouraging to see that they put a lot of emphasis in nutrition and
mm,
diet, and of course in what certain herbal formulas that are clean can do. And so that was, whenever you see a bunch of people, they come
right.
by and they're like, wow, they tried our black seed gummies, by the way. They love those. So it's good for our brand awareness and just to network with, and that's what we need to do. We need to stay connected. We need to organize with like-minded individuals and keep spreading the word.
You mentioned the black seed gummies. That's a good little segue into highlighting that product. In addition
Yes.
to maybe like the Termamax, if someone listens to this and they start adding in 1 or 2 teaspoons of that Termamax powder into their day, would black seed gummies help as well? Because those kind of they have similar benefits, almost black seed and turmeric.
Yes, they do. They're two powerhouses. You'd be hard pressed to try to, if this was like a tournament or something, the turmeric and blacks would be at the tip top. Black seed, you know, being great for immune, heart, digestion. You can take it in a gummy form now, and that's the thing. If you've ever tried straight up black seed oil, I think 9 out of 10 people, it's not their favorite tasting thing, but it's so beneficial. So we've got to find a way to get it in. So we created this clean gummy. It's actually 500 milligrams of black seed just in 2 gummies. And the best part is it kind of tricks you into thinking you're just eating candy.
Yeah,
That's what I love. You can eat it at night instead of something else. It's good on the heart. And can't go wrong. The turmeric as well. Hey, you can have your. I like to do it as a hot tea, the Termamax, and it's just so soothing at night. It just makes me want to fall asleep.
yeah. And just water, hot water, you can throw it in there and just kick it back.
Hot water. It's always good to do a fat. If you want to do a little coconut oil or like a latte, put a little milk on the top,
Yeah,
and you're good to go. A
amazing.
little honey. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I was waiting for that. I was like, when's he gonna say that? There it is.
Yeah, don't let me forget.
Speaking of honey, we have a whole array of honeys here as well. I think it's right to mention the raw honeys that you have available because we're talking about like lattes and ways to help support the flavor of some of these herbs. People aren't used to that. They're taking herbs in powder format. So tell us about your favorite raw honey that's available through North American.
Well, you're gonna love my answer. It's the Canadian Prairie
There we
honey.
go.
That's my fave, and I think a lot of us here, that's our number one. They're all good, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's my fave.
And of course, as the name suggests, you're getting it from actual wilderness in Canada, just like was it the Chaga product?
Yeah, yeah, not far away, right? And not far away, yeah, up there, actually, more specifically, kind of north of Winnipeg, up there in the top half of Manitoba
Right.
province.
Amazing. Folks, if you're just tuning in, the Director of Education is with us, Mr. Steve Harkins, representing North American Urban Spice. Always love having you on, Stephen. About a minute to go here. Give us a little recap for people that are shopping in the store as we speak. People are listening to our program here. We've highlighted about 4 different drink mix options now with herbs. So, what's a good take home here? What should someone be thinking about after this episode?
Don't let taste be an objection to your health. There is really wonderful tasting magical herbs out there that you can use, and you don't have to take a capsule, and you can enjoy it, and you can give it to your children, you give it to your grandparents. And I would say go with a brand like us, and always make sure there's no cornstarch, there's no fillers, just the good stuff, and
Yeah.
you'll be right on track for wellness.
Yeah, especially with how fatigued everybody is. A lot of people are tired and their hormones are out of balance and they just keep reaching for that coffee. Why not sneak some chaga or maca into that coffee, into that, mix it up a little bit, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. Build up your energy in a sustainable way, because you got to pace yourself,
Yeah.
in this life. So yeah, give it a try. You won't be disappointed.
And then we're going to see you in about a month, Steven. So I'm excited for that episode. What's one thing that keeps you going here? We'll finish on that, about 20 seconds. What keeps you wanting to get up every day and educate America and beyond on health?
I just feel like knowledge is power, knowledge is key. And then when we apply the knowledge, that's when we really, take ourselves places. And I've been blessed to be informed and be educated by others who invested into me about
Mm-hmm.
where to get our nutrients and how to support our health in many different ways. And I'm just a exchanger of information. That's the way I see myself. And if you can make this world a better place than what you came into it, and the more people you talk with, you never know. It's like a human chain
Wow.
reaction. So
Absolutely. Thank you, Steven. We appreciate you and the whole team.
thank you. And I see why you have good energy. It's the maca. You
There
need
you
to
go. That's right, buddy. Thank you, Steven. We'll talk to
thank
you soon.
you too.